Tensions remain high in the Middle East following further Israeli strikes on southern Lebanon and the occupied West Bank overnight.
الأحياء والمناطق التي قصفت بالأمس في الضاحية الجنوبية تتقدم.
New evacuation orders are in effect in Lebanon's capital as Israel's military vows to keep hitting Hezbollah targets.
Hello everyone and welcome to my YouTube channel. In today's video I will be talking about Prisoners of Geography by Tim Marshall in relation to Lebanon and the Middle East. In relation to Lebanon and the Middle East, the concepts from Prisoners of Geography can be directly applied to understanding the region's ongoing complexities. Lebanon, for example, is a small country bordered by Syria and Israel with a Mediterranean coastline which has historically positioned it at the crossroads of major powers and conflicts. The country's political instability, compounded by the Syrian civil war, refugee crisis, and regional conflicts, reflects how geography forces Lebanon to navigate pressures from both neighboring states and larger global powers. Currently, Lebanon is dealing with significant economic crisis, political gridlock, and external pressures due to its proximity to conflicts in Syria and the larger Gulf region. In the context of the Middle East, this observation also underscores how deeply external perspectives have influenced the region's political history. Colonialism, post-colonial power struggles, and ongoing foreign interventions are all tied to how external forces view and define the region. For Lebanon, for instance, this question is particularly resonant. The country has historically been seen through the lens of competing international interests, yet for its own people, Lebanon is the core of their identity and struggle. The question "middle of war" invites reflection on how geographic boundaries and designations can shape not just maps, but political realities, identities, and international relations. The situation in the Middle East remains tense, especially with the ongoing conflict between Israel and Hamas, Saudi-Iranian diplomacy efforts, and the region's energy interests. Prisoners of Geography suggests that many of these conflicts and alliances are heavily influenced by the geographical constraints and opportunities faced by these countries. In Prisoners of Geography, Tim Marshall asks a thought-provoking question: middle of what? East of where? These questions arise when discussing the Middle East, a region whose very name is a Western construct. Marshall challenges the reader to reconsider how we frame and understand regions, particularly through the lens of geography, history, and cultural perspective. Tim Marshall's quote, "An attempt is now being made to redraw the lines of the Middle East in blood," reflects the ongoing, often violent efforts to reshape the geopolitical landscape in the Middle East. It captures the brutal reality of how borders, alliances, and power dynamics in this region have been shaped and continue to be reshaped through conflict, war, and external interventions. This quote is especially poignant in light of the rising tensions between Lebanon and Israel in September 2024. Historically, the borders between these two countries have been sites of contention, particularly in areas like the Sheba Farms and along the Blue Line established by the United Nations. Both Lebanon and Israel have been involved in intermittent conflict for decades. Tim Marshall's observation of borders being redrawn in blood speaks to the historical and ongoing reality that, in the Middle East, borders are rarely settled peacefully. The tensions between Lebanon and Israel in 2024 reflect this broader pattern of conflict and instability. Lebanon's current struggle is part of this larger regional reality, where external powers, economic pressures, and militant groups like Hezbollah engage in power struggles that threaten to escalate into violence. In this context, Marshall's quote serves as a reminder that these struggles are not new but part of a long history of borderlines being shaped by conflict, often at the expense of the people living within them. Nasrallah's death would leave a significant leadership vacuum within Hezbollah, an organization that is deeply hierarchical and dependent on strong leadership. Succession planning may already be in place, but it's unclear whether a signal figure can command the same level of authority and charisma as Nasrallah. Internationally, Nasrallah's death will likely be viewed through different lenses. For Iran, losing such a key ally in Lebanon would be a major setback, potentially straining its influence. For Israel and its allies, it might be seen as a chance to weaken Hezbollah's military and political power. Western powers will also be closely watching for how this affects Lebanon's fragile political system and the broader security landscape in the Middle East. In conclusion, the confirmation of Hassan Nasrallah's death marks a turning point for Hezbollah and the broader region. It's likely to introduce a period of uncertainty with potential shifts in leadership. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already so you don't miss out on any future content.